It ended up being just like the episode of South Park, because it's like the cops come to me and they say, well, you spent millions of dollars you might never get back. You spent a ton of time and you now have made Casa Bonita a place you can't even go. Was it worth it? Totally.
I started watching South Park at the very young age of like 6 or 7 years old, and it's basically how I learned how to speak English as well. And a lot of my early animations were inspired by the cutout style of South Park. And now that I work full-time in the industry, I've worked on everything from movies to games to shows, you name it. I also create a lot of projects in my spare time, and I've been doing that throughout my entire career, and also before that, of course. But it kind of dawned on me that I've never actually tried to do anything that closely resembles the style of South Park. So for this video, that's what I wanted to try. South Park is animated in Maya, which is the industry standard software for animation. And lucky for me, I have about 15 years experience in this software, so I should be able to get pretty close. First, I picked a piece of audio I wanted to animate to. I chose this ending part of Trey Parker in the documentary about Casa Bonita. I cut the audio up a little bit to have fewer pauses and more flow to it. And after that, I made a very crude sketch of how I wanted the model to look. I started off by simply tracing around my sketch using the Create Polygon tool. I used some references of hands and eyes to get the proper shapes that define South Park. And speaking of that, for any fan of South Park, it's enough to see one single mouth shape and you instantly recognize it. Therefore, I did actually go online and downloaded the entire mouth set rather than trying to create my own. I used the construction paper texture as an overlay for all the different colors I needed. For some objects, I fit all of them into one single texture. I've seen a lot of fan-made South Park animations out there, and there's usually one crucial part which a lot of people miss, and that is the drop shadows underneath the characters. Throughout this process, I'm actually just guessing how I believe South Park Studios is approaching this, because to be honest, I don't really know. I'm basing all of my guesswork, off of the few bits and pieces of behind-the-scenes footage I've seen. In this clip here, it's stated that the shadows are a result of lights casting the shadows.
You can see that Maya is actually casting a shadow, a light-driven shadow, off of Clyde's face onto this kid. I think it's Bradley.
Here, it appears as if they can be manually manipulated like their own objects. So my approach to this is to simply make a copy of the object itself, but give it the appearance of a shadow. To me, that makes sense. Now, the rig itself is a pretty interesting part. I've rigged tons of characters in the past, and I've worked with a lot of professional rigs, and one thing they all have in common is, of course, the controllers, so that you can move the rig and you can manipulate it the way you want. But when I've looked at behind-the-scenes footage of the show, I haven't seen anyone moving the characters using controls, so I'm not sure what type of setup is used at South Park. It might be some kind of locator setup. If you're watching this video and you happen to work at South Park Studios, then please let me know in the comments what I get wrong, and also if I get anything right in this video. I created my own control setup like I'm used to, and for the different mouths, I created an attribute where I can switch them out. I would assume this is how they do it as well, as it is incredibly quick to animate this way. For animation, I first went through the audio and animated the mouths to match the dialogue.
Millions of dollars you might never get back.
Then I went ahead and created key poses throughout. After that, it was just a matter of animating in between the poses entirely using stepped keys. I would assume this is the approach of the animators at South Park as well. For me as a stop-motion animator, it makes sense to actually set all of the keys manually rather than splining it first and then breaking up the spline into stepped keys. And in this clip here, we can hear Matt Stone say this.
It's still stop-motion animation. It's still someone moving the compartment over and going keyframe. It's still just frame by frame and a bunch of really talented people looking at every piece of visual art and doing it really fast.
Again, I would love to know if I'm getting this wrong, but for me as a lead animator, I wouldn't really say an approach is wrong, as long as the actual process of animation is efficient and the results look good. And speaking of efficiency, this entire 18-second shot took me about an hour to animate from start to finish. And for anyone who's new to the VFX industry or animation in general, this is considered incredibly fast. Because what we normally do is we'll work on a shot for months on end, doing iterations upon iterations, because there are always new ideas and directions from higher-ups, and they want us to do this, and then we animate that for a while, and then they come up with a new idea and say, oh, could you scrap that? Could you do this instead? So we end up doing iteration upon iteration of the same shot. And I'm not complaining about it. This is simply how the industry works. And if anything, it's going to teach you how to work incredibly fast while still staying on a high level. When it comes to rendering, I also don't know what type of renderer South Park uses. What I did was simply to give each object a surface shader material, so there's no fancy lighting going on at all. It's just rendered straight out of Maya, and it's almost instant. So the final result is like what you see is what you get. And I had so much fun creating this video. I did the entire thing all by myself in less than a day. And just working in this style is so fast compared to what I'm used to doing. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of South Park, and I would love to know if I got anything right at all in this video. If you like what I do, then please check out more of my videos on my channel and consider liking and subscribing as well, as that really helps me grow this channel. I have so many ideas of videos that I'm gonna create, so I hope you'll stick around for that. Once again, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.